In the last 4 months, we have taught the most important people that drive our innovation and our businesses forward. These people are key to our future. All of them have been forced to learn how to run businesses from home. And that is an absolutely transformational change. There's no going back from that. And the impact of that is going to be much greater than the healthcare impact of COVID. And I don't want to minimize the healthcare impact of COVID. 130, 160,000 Americans are dead. So it's obviously a huge impact. What I'm trying to say is that if you compare a mountain to Everest, Everest is going to look better. The impact of COVID is much larger in the way that it did two things. Well, three, I should say. Number one, what COVID has done is that it has changed the way we work forever. That is not something that we can go back to. And even if 80% of companies go back to where they were pre-COVID, it will be ridiculously transformational, because that means that 20% of companies in the US are working a different way. And that changes things in a way that's so radical that we can't even begin to explain that to people, right? So that was the first impact that it had. The second impact, which is tied to the first one, is that there's going to be a portion of the US workforce that does not need to live in expensive cities anymore. They don't need to fight traffic. They don't need to live in these expensive places. They can go out and choose cities based on their interests. If they're skiers, they'll head to Provo, right? If they'll go to Idaho or Boise if they like, canoeing or things like that. So they're going to be heading out. They're going to go to Montana if they like, the ski slopes. I mean, so there's a lot of these amazing places in the US that people have never lived in because they were nervous that their bosses truly didn't like work from home. But now that companies are making announcements and CEOs are working from home, it becomes much easier to take that step. And that changes the way real estate is done in this country. When I'm in such a transformative time, I'm doing a lot. I mean, I am looking on the one side, creating funds to buy distressed hotels. On the other side, I'm buying industrial, because the third and final transformative effect of COVID was this. E-commerce grows 5 times the speed of the US economy. The US economy runs at 2% GDP growth. E-commerce runs at about 10%. So it's already 5x the US economy. It's the fastest vertical in the US economy. In the last 12 months, which included all these COVID months, e-commerce grew at 77%, while the US economy grew at 0. So what has just happened, Matt, is that 7 years of e-commerce growth has come in 4 months, right? And that is also something that we can't step back on. I had used DoorDash 3 times in the 2 years before COVID, all in 3 times when I was in a food desert somewhere checking out a property.
Yeah.
I don't think that changes, because now all of my favorite places I've got, DoorDash plugged in. So now it's just pick up iPad, click DoorDash, click repeat, done. It takes roughly 10 seconds to order food now.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And I'm a technology guy, and I wasn't doing it before, right? Imagine how many non-technology portions of the workforce were forced to do these online things. My wife's a school teacher and has now learned Zoom and has now learned Google Classroom, something that you couldn't hold a gun to her head to do. She had no choice. That was the only way to connect to students. So the economy becomes digitalized in a way that is almost radical, because it was forced on us. And that third change means that we need more industrial and warehousing in this country, and we need a lot less retail. I'm looking at building industrial warehouses throughout the United States in key markets where freeways intersect. Like Salt Lake City is a place where freeways intersect. And then that whole North Carolina to Georgia, Atlanta area is where freeways intersect, because there's going to be just so much shipping, right?
Yeah.
So I've always ordered a truckload of stuff from Amazon. So I've always had trouble with, on Thursday morning when the trash guy comes in, my recycle bin is always, full. And so what I've been doing is, and my neighbors know this, on Thursday morning, I wake up early and I go around basically filling up other people's recycle bins. And most of the time there's a little bit of space in other people's bins. In the last 4 months, I haven't been able to put one box in other people's bins.
Yeah.
I've seen other people roaming around on Thursday mornings trying to find empty bins. Today is a great time because there's stress, there's distress, and most of that distress is ahead of us. I mean, very, very little distress has happened in real estate at this point. I can't even really point to something and say that's distressed. But there it isn't, because it takes time, right?
Mhm.
So the next 12 months are filled with opportunity. Why wouldn't I take advantage of it?